We'll start with the Sufi invocation and the Bismillah. Toward the One, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Well, I just want to welcome you from my heart and say that this is going to be a little experiment with Imam Bilal and I together. We've been working on this Wazifa project along with Pir Shabda and Faisal Muqaddam, and we're very inspired by it. And we want to share some of the fruits of it in a practical way. We have the great knowledge and brilliance of our dear friend here, who's going to lead us through the inner structures of these beautiful names. And we are so grateful to have you with us. And I'll just play around in the stuff and see what we can do from the standpoint of walk and dance and inner psychological practice with some of this material that Imam Bilal will open up for us. And I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to deepen our already existing friendship. And I, the way we decided to sort of try and play with you all, there's room here, you know.
Come front.
Please don't hide.
Dear, come on front. Oh, you're in a chair. That's different.
We decided to kind of play this is to have Imam Bilal take the lead in the morning and lead us through the understanding, and in the afternoon I will take the post and we will do practices and the like together, and then in the evening we'll join forces. So with that introduction, please.
Thank you. I'm just amazed that we're here all together. This is quite a gift. Early spring. It's gorgeous today. And I'd just like to reflect for a moment also, thanking you so much for being here. I think this started with a walk on the beach in Mississippi with Shabda. And he said, listen, I want you to write a book on the 99 names. I said, no, I've got a lot to do, and I got my prison duties, and I got to teach Arabic. He said, I'll pay you. And I said, okay. I'll get right on it. When do we start? Great. Imams have a lot of jobs without salaries, and this is a wonderful opportunity also to kind of tune in on what's been done. You know, the great Chishti sheikhs that have come to the West have a certain relationship with Wazifa and the beautiful names of Allah. And people before us have been working on this for, well, thousands of years before that, but specifically for the West, there's some attunement for the beautiful names as I did, actually, when I was about 17, I think. I found out that Allah had 99 names. And this shows you how long ago this was. I ran to a phone booth and dropped in a dime, and I called my mom. I said, Mom, God has 99 beautiful names. Isn't that great? She sort of said, what? was excited, and I've been excited ever since. I was educated in a place called Durman, Sudan, and I went around all the bookstores. This sounds so silly now, of Khartoum and Durman and places, and I asked for books on the 99 names because that's basically all I could read in the original. And I met a lot of Sufis that way, actually, in the woodwork, just talking about the 99, asking for books, in the library and so on. So they kind of got a glint in their eye. And so this beauty, and it's beauty really, beautiful names, is universal, and it's extensive, and they're pathways to love and ecstasy. And all I can say is, since Pure Shabda made that wonderful suggestion, I think we've gone deeper, and Tamam, and then Wali Ali came in, and it was like a leap year, it's just we leaped ahead, years and years ahead with each other, and our fellowship has been wonderful. It's been quite a journey. I've learned a lot, really understanding what the beautiful names are, why there's 99, why they're beautiful, the techniques for love and ecstasy that are developed through them and through the repetition are just exquisite. And it's exquisite going with other lovers on the path of love toward the beloved. I thought I'd begin by reading you the list of the beautiful names. Except in Sudan we do it with a little style, One, Ar-Rahman, two, Ar-Rahim. No, we're not going to do it that way. There's a rhythm against a syncopated, I guess, backdrop. And since we don't really have drums here, you just have to imagine the drums. And it's we don't
brought a car.
Oh, great! Did you bring Aladdin from Kansas City? Too bad. He's the man as far as Nubian rhythms go. But let's try to feel that drum in our heart and just go with the rhythm, which is, what's the rhythm? Number 2. It's La ilaha, La ilaha, La ilaha illallah. Those are the words. Everybody with me? Yeah. Okay, and the rhythm is nice and slow and relaxed. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha, La ilaha, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha, La ilaha, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha, La ilaha, La ilaha. رحيم يا رحيم يا رحيم يا الله يا مالك يا مالك يا مالك يا الله يا قدوس يا قدوس يا قدوس يا سلام يا سلام يا سلام يا الله يا سلام يا سلام يا سلام يا الله يا مؤمن يا مؤمن يا مؤمن يا الله يا محيمن يا محيمن يا محيمن يا عزيز يا عزيز يا عزيز يا الله يا جبار يا جبار يا جبار يا الله متكبر يا متكبر يا الله يا الله يا خالق يا باري يا مصور يا الله الله هو الله يا الله يا الله يا غفار يا غفار يا غفار يا الله يا قهار يا وهاب يا الله يا رزاق يا رزاق يا رزاق يا الله يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح يا الله يا عليم يا قابل يا باسط يا خافر يا رافع يا رافع يا الله يا معز يا معز يا معز يا الله يا مذل يا مذل يا مذل يا الله سميع يا بصير يا خبير يا الله يا حكام يا حكام يا عدل يا الله يا لطيف يا لطيف لطيف يا الله يا حليم يا عظيم يا حكيم يا الله يا غفور يا شكور يا شكور يا الله يا علي يا علي متعالي يا الله يا حفيظ يا حسيب يا الله يا جليل يا جميل يا حكيم يا الله الله يا كريم يا حكيم يا رحيم الله الله يا عظيم يا عليم يا حكيم يا الله يا رقيب يا مجيب يا حسيب يا الله يا واسع يا واسع يا واسع يا سميع يا ودود يا ودود يا عفو الله الله يا مجيد يا حبيب يا شهيد الله الله يا حق يا حي يا حق الله الله يا وكيل يا ولي يا حميد يا قوي يا متين يا محصي يا مبدي الله الله يا معين يا معين يا معيد الله الله يا محيي يا مميت يا حي يا قيوم يا واجد يا ماجد يا واحد الله الله صمد يا أحد يا صمد الله الله يا قادر يا مقتدر يا مقدم الله الله أول آخر ظاهر باطن يا بر يا نور يا حي يا قيوم يا تواب يا رحاب الله الله يا رؤوف مالك الملك ملك الملك مالك يا الله ذو الجلال والإكرام الله الله يا الله يا مقسط يا جميل يا غني يا مغني يا مانع يا مؤتي يا دار يا نافع يا نور يا نور يا الله يا هادي يا هادي يا باقي يا الله يا بديع يا سامع يا بديع الله الله يا وارث يا رشيد يا صبور الله الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله 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 يا الله هو الله يا الله illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha la ilaha la ilaha illallah, ya Allahu, ya Allah, 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 hayyu Allah, illallah. Oh, Ya Rabbi. Wow, love and ecstasy, huh? That covers a lot of territory. Ishq Allah. Ishq Allah. This eternal love. Love that has no beginning and no end. Love that is continuous with every breath, everything that is between, without which we couldn't exist for even a moment, for even a breath. We exist by love. And it is love that engendered the universe so that the beloved could know the essence of essences. The first thing you learn about the beautiful names is that they're not things, rather that they're relationships, expressed in relationship, called subul. Subul are pathways. Pathways by which the lover walks the path of love and returns to the beloved. Everybody hearing me? Yeah? They're called pathways. They express multivarious, like different facets of a jewel, expressing the same love through literally endless ways. The pathways are innumerable. You really can't limit those pathways. 99 is just a Sufi code, actually. 9 and 9 and 9 and 9, you get the idea. It's a code for the infinite ways by which the lover understands and loves the beloved. So they're really pathways. Pathways. There's pathways of love, pathways of ecstasy, pathways of intoxication, so many pathways. And the consciousness opens to these pathways. Whatever it is, I mean, you take the best path, the most beautiful path to the beloved, as any lover would do. And it's expressed so many ways, in so many traditions and wisdoms. But Sufis are very ambitious people. We want it all. We want all the pathways. I'm from Berkeley. When do you want it? Now. But you do get overwhelmed, if you're lucky, in certain states of consciousness to understand so many pathways, like open doors, to return and discover the beloved's face. One way the Chistis have taken is a pathway of ecstasy and bliss. And in order to do this, you fall in love over and over again with beauty. And that sets up an attraction, a jadb, an attraction by which that lover is drawn in towards the path like a magnet, irresistibly force of love draws the lover towards the beloved along one of these pathways. And pathway we'll talk about sort of first, although they're hard to tell apart, especially in certain states of intoxication. But one of the pathways is love. And that's considered the ishq in Sufi language. That's considered the pathway, the essential pathway, the most direct, all-embracing pathways. Without it, Sufis don't they dry up. So you have to stick to the pathway of love and others, but the pathway of love is the essential path. If you read any poetry by any of the Sufis, sooner or later you'll find this essence, this ishq. It turns out that even encoded in the language, ishq Allah is sort of repeating the same thing twice. Ishq is love and the pathway of love. And in fact, one of the names, it's not on the list, is Ma'shuq, which is the beloved. When I say beloved, this is the kind of the one who possesses all ishq. The end of all pathways is the beloved, with a capital B. There's no capitals in this language, but you get the idea. The name Allah itself, however, is the name of love. If you look it up in the dictionary, probably not Wikipedia, but another dictionary. And that's because the root of the name Allah, Waliha, means two things. Two concepts are joined in this one word, Allah. Madness and passion. Insanity and desire. Craziness and yearning. Those are the two those are the two concepts that are in this word. You just have to take my word for it. Walhan means, extreme, passionate, insane desire. And Wali means a lover. So I'm just playing around with this word Allah and seeing where it comes from, what the root means. And it's both ways. You can't have insanity without love. You can't have love without insanity. You get the idea. So it turns out that the word ishq means the same thing as Allah. It's saying the same thing twice. This is a long way from G-O-D, I think, in English. But a good friend of mine, a rabbi, wrote God is a verb, and it's the same in Hebrew and Arabic, that God really is a verb. It means to love with insane passion. I like topsy-turvy. That's actually in the dictionary. To go out of one's mind with desire. That's really what the word means. So when you say that word, it's not neutral. it's expressing two things. Going crazy and being in love. It has to be that intense in order for it to be ishq. You know, and in some ways that means that the word Allah is the essence of all the names, and therefore this kind of crazy, insane passion must at some level be the root meaning of all the names. It's called the name of the essence. Allah is the name of the essence. So if Allah is the essence of all the beautiful names, somehow every name, even the ones you don't like in that list, somehow in its essence it must still capture this meaning. Insane passion. Majnoon is how they expressed it. Everybody knows Layla and Majnoon, I think. That's the kind of human manifestation. That's what it looks like on the human level. The divine level is like that. In fact, that's how we understand God, Allah, by looking at all our insanity, our loves, our passions, our desires, our ups and downs. That's the only way we can really understand Allah. It's not really that abstract. We must learn from our own self, the nafs. And the hadith is, whoever knows the self knows God, yes? So even those parts that we don't look at all the time, the insane parts, it's all right. As long as it's passionate, it has that seed of understanding where you can take your knowledge of yourself. That's how you understand Allah. The insanity, the passion, the yearning, the desire, the madness. It's like that. What can I say about insanity and passion? It basically drives you out of your mind. Out of your mind, the mental, and drives you towards Allah through the heart. And the heart is the seat of that passion, just like infatuation. It's more like, it depends. It's more like teenage love. I have 4 daughters, so I know something about it. It's sort of a crazy love, not the responsible part of your adult mind. But you have to remember what that 12-year-old, 13-year-old experience was like. I think Majnoon was about 8. He started early. But it has to be that kind of innocent, unsophisticated, uncritical madness in love. And that's what attracts you to the beloved. So the very word Allah expresses this kind of love. It's the first and foremost name of love. Ecstasy, also ecstasy. The ecstatic name is also Allah, for a different but related reason. I mean, you can think about how ecstatic you would get if you were insane and manic and in love, but also there's ecstasy. And chanting this name, especially to rhythm and music, is a certain type of ecstasy. experiencing this love produces a certain kind of ecstasy. It isn't exactly Allah. In Sufi language, it's Allahu. It's a kind of a different extension on Allah, and Hu is really the name of ecstasy. It expresses a type of ecstasy that's called secret desire. Surur. Secret desire. That's the kind of ecstasy. It doesn't really have any outward form. When people are in ecstasy, they laugh, they cry, they get dizzy, they fall down. I've seen a lot of stuff. But this is a secret ecstasy. It really is deep down within the inner reaches of the heart. In fact, the word for secret heart is sir, this kind of secret. But the name Allah goes deeper. The secret of all the names is this name Allah. The secret of that name, Allah, is Hu. The secret of Hu is... Oh, this is supposed to be a secret, should I tell you? It's too late now. I said too much. The secret of Hu is Ha. It's the breath, which happily enough means moment. Now this goes on. The secret of the names is Allah. Secret of Allah is Hu. Secret of Hu is Ha. Secret of secrets. It's called the secret of the secrets of the secrets. And that goes on without end, deeper and deeper. And every level of these secrets that you penetrate, there's a kind of ecstasy that goes with that, called surur. It's the same root as secret, so that's good for linguists. A secret ecstasy. It's so secret, in fact, that the lover may not be aware of it. It isn't getting high. It isn't a feeling of expansion or floating or anything. It's very, very subtle. It's a secret ecstasy. And that ecstasy is so mysterious and so inward that the lover may be unaware of it. You see? You tell yourself a story. I'm miserable, I'm lonely, I'm tense, I'm busy, something. I'm an insomniac. One of those. I'm perpetually late. One of those excuses. I'm not looking at the people back. But the Murshid sees the secret deep in the heart that even the lover isn't aware of. That kind of ecstasy is very subtle. It's very inward, and it takes a lot of, relaxation techniques, to say the least, for the lover to realize one's own secret ecstasy. So the words are Allahu. You kind of the Hu, because Sufis have a way of giving away secrets, you know. It's Hu, but it's sort of too. That's the first letter of Hu is written in some forms like a circle, a symbol of the infinite. So you can keep kind of going past the Hu and past the Ha. And the rhythm is like this. Allah, Allah, Yahoo. Some Sufis say La ilaha illallah, some say La ilaha illahu. There's nothing of Allah but who. And of course there's nothing but who of Allah, who but the ha of the breath in this moment. It encapsulates all of the essence of everything. The relationship between love and ecstasy is quite explicit. One falls in love with beauty and goes into an ecstatic, uncontrolled, uncontrollable state that's beyond reason or common sense. Like that. But love itself is stronger than that. Love itself is stronger than that. According to Sufis, every atom in existence dances to the music of love. Some of the ecstasy in beauty, you can see it in certain states of mind. Art, for instance, music, dance, song, rhythm, the flowers that were brought here, the springtime, the early spring, the green, the grasses of the hills. It's easy for the lover to imbibe that beauty and fall in love with it. And then I turn on the news. Uh-oh. I'm supposed to be on a news fast, but I don't know. I'm a linguist, you know. When they came out with Islamofascist,
Me too. That blew me away.
all of my linguistic, horrible delight came into play. And I thought, this is an interesting time to be alive. How did I get into this anyways? I was supposed to be like a tea-drinking Taoist, in the mountain retreat. And I wasn't supposed to get into trouble, but here I am. And several people have, including my doctor, have disallowed me to listen to right-wing radio broadcasts because of my blood pressure. But, once in a while, talk about a contact high. I mean, I go into horrible ecstasy over that stuff. And I just wonder, what am I supposed to love now? And Allah is infinite, really limitless. You really can't say, beauty here and everything else there. God's up there and we're down there. None of that. I mean, that's impossible. And there's the other aspect. You might have heard this. Besides Jemali is Jelali. And this is going to come in with the names. We worked for years on opposite pairs. And we always liked the Jemali ones. You could just fall in love with ecstasy. And it was easy. And but the Jelali aspects are there. And in some ways, if you understand super unity, La ilaha illallah, they must be inseparable, Jemali and Jelali. And they're just different ways of talking about the same infinite being. And the work really of the lover is really to be in love with Jamal and Jalal. Both aspects. It's like indiscriminate love. You see what I mean about insanity? And the way I understand it is I do some marriage counseling once in a while. It's part of my duties, And it always comes into this thing where you fall in love and then your friends say, what could he possibly see in her or him you know? It's like you're super infatuated. You're in love to the most intense degree. And this is just a human way of experiencing this. But somehow, your love is like spreading all over both the Jemali aspects and the Jelali aspects of that person. And you're really high and you're really ecstatic in love, and you don't notice the faults at first. Maybe you do and they just don't register, or something. You're willing to overlook. And then that 10th year of marriage kicks in, and boy, no. It's usually when the honeymoon's over, that kind of thing. And you kind of have a more balanced sort of love for that person. It starts to really grow. You either start to love for their faults, or you love them in spite of their faults. You deal with it. This is, how it is. But the love, as it grows over the year, does take in. It's able to grow sort of so big that it does take in what are considered negative aspects as well as positive aspects. It's a weird setup. The very word Allah has two parts, Al and La. What do you know? Al means positive, and La means negative. And you deal with it. Both sides are inseparable. You might be able to perceive it, but this very setup is something larger than attraction or preference or discrimination even. It's love with a capital L, Remember in the 70s, they in Santa Cruz, oh my God, Subhana, and I go back that far, we had these groups where you tried to love everybody. You really tried to love everybody, and then you tried to act like you loved everybody. And it was like really hard to do this. And the thing is, it turns out to be very difficult to do. But the sentiment is there. It is love. Jesus said it, alayhi salam, quite a while ago, to love your enemies. It's a kind of crazy love. How can love be that strong where you actually can love your enemies? And I'm not talking about simplistic love, although most of us were pretty simplistic when we first fell in love with somebody. But I'm talking about the very, very mature level that approaches the infinite love of God, Ishq Allah. That really includes, these preferences, these negatives, these Jelali as well as the Jemali. You in love, you may come across, I hope, the beautiful and fall in love and go into ecstasy. This experience should be everybody's privilege. But it also may be just a doorway into more everlasting and eternal love, where you start to love those things which you do not perceive as beautiful, those things which are difficult, those things which throw up a screen or a veil between you and the beloved. Even that, there's a way to include that. This is a vast, everlasting love. It really has no conditions. It really has no limit in that sense. We can only imagine, most of us, what that kind of burning love is. And we can see a Mother Teresa, God bless her, you know, in the streets of Calcutta, sort of loving that which is, for most of us, unlovable. But the 99 names has an image of what that love might look like. It's a very human, kind of fleshy word. It's Rahman, Rahim, and Rahma. The two first names on the list really express that kind of ishq. I think the best way, since they're first on the list, there must be a reason. Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. What is that universal love? I mean, what does it feel like? What does it look like? It has to have a feeling, a very human feeling, not abstract, but on the earth kind of meaning. And that's because, I'm sure if you kept up with this is kind of not news, but it's Rahma is the same root as Rahim, which is the word for womb. Both those names, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, have a root that's related to the word for womb. And this is so appropriate that the love of a mother for her child is the best example for us to understand this kind of love. That really is it. It expresses in the most perfect terms what that must feel like. You know, the mother doesn't say, well, this kid might not turn out right, I'm going to reject it, or I don't like the way it's acting, you know, turning in my stomach or so. So it's an unconditional love, no matter what the baby comes out like. That love sort of endures. It endures. You know, a kid might come out a criminal or something like that, but that kind of love is so universal and so unconditional. The mother's love coming from the womb has that universal power, that inclusiveness, that accepts everything. It doesn't condone it, everything, but it loves at a very deep level and a very accepting level. Everything. And when I say everything, I mean all things, quite literally. Wasi'at rahmatullahi kulla shay'in. That is, this womb-like mercy or compassion and love includes all things. And that's how we understand that first word, the aspect, the ishq aspect of Allah. We understand it through the first two names, called the gates. And when we say the phrase Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, we have that whole setup. Allah with a hu, and Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. It explains itself in one sense. It said, what does that mean, Allah? What kind of love is it? It's Rahman, and what kind of love is that? It's Ar-Rahim. It's like a series of explanations. And one can understand something of the ecstatic, but in this case, the ecstatic love that really comes back down to the ground and stays constant. It's permanent love. This love doesn't fade, you know. It's kind of like people that love you if you're always smiling and you're beautiful. But, you know, how about if you're not so beautiful? Does that love fade? You see what I mean? You know, you wake up in the morning, you look like, and you act like, duh. You know, this isn't how this person looked. They look so beautiful. Does that love fade? That's a very flaky love. You know, it's so undependable. This is Ishq Allah. It has to be everything. You know, people ask why if God's so good, you know, the traditional argument, why is the world so lousy? It's a reasonable question. Well, the answer, there is no answer. But if there is an answer, it has to come from Ishq. It has to be that kind of love that accepts Jamal and Jalal. Every aspect of existence, according to the Sufis, is either Jemali or Jelali. Even Arabi says that every moment, not just everything, every moment has a name. All you do is take a breath and it's another name. It keeps changing. Well, it's all Ishq Allah. You might be, you know, high or hooked or up or down, but it has a name, you know, the downer or something like that. we can translate these names, you know. Well, I'm down. It must be the downer that's manifesting right now. That's all I can see. Real Jelali, right? My teacher used to quiz me. He said, okay, so that's a good theory. So what's the name right now? You know, my mind stopped and I thought, well, I've memorized these things. I'll fool them, you know, Ya Kareem. But that, you know, just pick a name, any name. I thought that would get him. He said, no. How about, you know, I was up here, not in here. I wasn't aware of that manifestation, you know. Most people want to hear about the beautiful manifestations. It's fine, but it's only half the story. That's not really Ishq. The full story, love, as it fully manifests, has to be manifesting in every form, in every shape, at every moment, and all of it, whether we see it or not. That's a very mature love, and it's like a relationship. It takes a while to get the hang of it, you see. It's not just like I tried to do, memorize a list of names and come up with one that seemed to intellectually describe the moment. It was every moment. The one who drops notebooks. See? Allah doesn't stop. Huwa ma'akum aynama kuntum. He's with you. Allah is with you wherever you are. Every moment. It's a manifestation, or else you wouldn't be in the sense of existence. We'll talk about that later. So I just wanted to point this out, that the doorways to love should be wide open. And for most of us, it's the ecstasy when we fall in love with beauty. But there are documented stories of some discovering this love in situations that are not beautiful, in concentration camps or hospitals. Remember, St. John of the Cross worked in a syphilitic hospital in Spain in the 1300s. That must have been lovely. And in hard times, some people experience more, learn about love in those in those times and not just in the beautiful times. So that is an exquisite way to think about love, not just as part of life, but as life itself. Since the essence of Allah is ishq, is love, that is the way to reflect our essence, to be that of love, Jemali and Jelali. What were the two sheikhs here? I was planning on not talking that much, but let's do another a zikr called the Hu Zikr, which is just the name of the essence, which is Hu. Its rhythm is like this. Hu, 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 Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Oh Allah ya Rabbi. La yazal.
We're going to kind of come to a close here in the morning, and in the afternoon we'll be doing a lot more wazifa walks, dances, and some art meditations, and working with the wazifas with partners and so on. Imam Bilal's going to get a little rest in the afternoon, so we're happy to have him back this evening. I'm so grateful for what you shared from your heart and knowledge this morning. And if you would, if you'd like to lead us in the Fatiha, and we'll say that together, and then our Khatum.
فاتحة. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thou, who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly cometh from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide. Send us the peace of thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being.